Tales of bloodshed and atrocity continue to pour in from Syria, where 8,000 people have died in the year-old uprising. An international push to oust the regime of President Bashar al-Assad is gaining pace as 60 Western and Arab countries prepare to meet to discuss supporting the Syrian rebels. But the opposition has been weakened by internal rivalries and has so far failed to present a united front. Foreign Affairs editor Peter Cave travelled to a refugee camp and rebel stronghold on the Turkish-Syrian border to file this report and a warning: it does contain distressing images.
The Turkish Red Crescent already has 9 tent cities along the 900-kilometre border with Syria, and it's making preparations for more permanent accommodation for up to 500,000 people as Bashar al-Assad's tanks and artillery move relentlessly ahead, crushing dissent town by town and village by village. The Syrian Arab Spring is moving towards its second summer, and there's no prospect that these people will be returning home soon. Wasim Sabag is a web designer from Homs who was working in New York when the uprising began. Fearing for the safety of his family, he tried unsuccessfully to return home, but for the last 5 months, this tent has been home.
Have you heard from your family in Homs since then?
No, at all.
So you don't know what's happened to them?
I'm trying to call them every day, but the phone lines as well, the cell phones, out of service everywhere in Homs.
What sort of stories are you hearing from people who are coming into this camp from places like Homs?
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's inhuman. They were setting fire in people alive and cutting people's arms and destroying houses, regardless there are families inside or not. So it's horrible.
What's it like in the camp? What's life like here?
You think you are living a nightmare. You don't care about how it's like for real. I mean, about what do you eat or how do you sleep, or you just forget about all these because, like, it's a nightmare and looking for an end, no matter how.
The Syrian opposition has been able to turn out tens of thousands on the streets week after week to oppose the Assad regime, despite more than a year of often brutal repression. The UN human rights body described it as sustained and systematic attacks against civilian populations, including the killing of peaceful demonstrators, torture and mutilation of detainees, including women and children, and extrajudicial summary and arbitrary executions. Footage uploaded to the internet often shows small victories by the Free Syrian Army. But the fact is that the FSA is poorly equipped, poorly organised, and losing the battle against the Syrian army's overwhelming force and artillery.
This is the Turkish-Syrian border. Across the valley is a Syrian army guard post. On the hill, just over yonder, is a Turkish guard post. It overlooks a village. When we spoke to the villagers, they told us that earlier today there was an Iranian flag flying from the Syrian guard post. They've also told us that a group of fighters from the Free Syrian Army have come across overnight, and they're now sheltering in a basement under one of the houses.
They crept across the border under the cover of darkness the previous night. This comrade didn't make it. He died in a firefight with what they insist were Iranians fighting alongside Bashar al-Assad's forces. They're collecting such meagre food and medicine supplies that they can before returning to the battle and their AK-47s. Their leader calls himself Abu Mustafa.
It is really bad there. It is common to come across dead people, injured ones. People are killed, are kidnapped. It is a terrible situation. What we want from foreign countries is to give us arms, since this regime can only be defeated by armed struggle.
Peter Cave with that.